you guys just getting into this with multi-axles, really any trailer, but especially your like double drops, your RGNs, detaches, on checking your suspension and making sure your weights are right. Hold on. When you first hook up your suspension gauge, it's going to be kind of high, right? Higher, and you might look at it and be like, oh, that's not bad. But right now your suspension's bound up because you just hooked up the load or you just set the load on the deck. So this sun glare's not helping. It's always a good idea to release your brakes. Just let it settle, let it unbind itself. See that? It dropped a little bit. That'll change your ride height too, so if you measure it before you've let the suspension balance itself out and get itself out of a bind, you're gonna get a wrong height on it. And that can make a difference between hitting the bridge or turning down the power line or being good to go. And you got 2 axles in the booster. Here's how we tell our weights without having to go to a CAT scan. See, I'm under 60 PSI here, so that means I'm under 19,000 pounds an axle, which means I'm good. Most states will give me 20 an axle. Some will give me a little bit more. But yeah, so we're good there. So we'll come back here. Yep, the ugly Frankenstein tarp still on there. I showed you all that mess when I loaded this thing Friday. Still don't like it. Still ugly, 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 ugly. And back here, that gauge. Again, I'm allowed 20 per axle back here. So that's 60,000 on a Tridem. That's the 3 part of the 232. And here's the 2 part of the 232, the last 2. I can still hear the air running through the tank, so it's not all the way level yet. And this gauge is a little screwy, it's turned sideways, but there we go. It looks like sitting here over the weekend not moving, the booster bled down a little bit, so I might have to adjust that just a hair to get some of that weight off the trailer back to the booster. But other than that, man, I think we're good. Throw some flags on this ugly thing and wait for that 9 a.m. curfew to come. So this stout Jeep doesn't have landing gear. So what we do when we drop it, especially when it's loaded, is we put a block under there. I could have put 2 under there before I left, but once I dump all the air out and set that block under it, with the rollers and the ramps on the back of this trailer, I can pick it up with the tractor and hook up to it. But typically, if I get much heavier than this, I want it blocked up a little higher than that. So yeah, no landing gear, got to use blocks. About how it'll settle. There. It has dropped a little bit more. So now I got a better idea what my drives weigh. Now, because we're permitted with all 4 axles on the tractor on the ground, I got to drop my pusher and adjust it. I keep hearing people talk about, oh, you got to raise the pusher to make turns if it's not the pusher axle, if the wheels won't, turn side to side, right? They're not as steerable. Well, what I found is, especially on this truck, on this short wheelbase 567, is if you balance out the pressures on your pusher axle and your drive suspension, if they're equal on the gauges, you got no problem making turns, and your weights come out to be just about absolutely right. Something you should know. You're doing this, you get this close. Don't forget to take these off, because you'll definitely snap them first time you turn.